Welcome back to another episode of the Just As We Are podcast. My name is Katrina Lelly, and I am so excited for today's episode, bringing you guys such a beautiful woman, a successful corporate and clinical leader with 10 years experience in medical affairs, clinical education, and sales within the pharmaceutical industry. You know, she's just like us, a highly educated, well-compensated woman who realized that she had climbed Mount Everest at a rapid speed to get to the top and realized she had climbed the wrong mountain. She was burnt out, looking for a better quality of life before it was too late. But she was brave and courageous enough with incredible leaders who supported her in making a dramatic shift to become the entrepreneur she is today. You guys, I am so excited for you to hear this conversation with Melissa Henault. We talk all things about being a woman who was in pharmaceuticals. She climbed the ladder, went to school, has this degree and doctorate, come to find out that she, had climbed the wrong mountain, and she made a huge pivot in her life after joining a network marketing company and becoming very successful in that company. And during that time, kind of just on that road and on that mission, so laser focused, almost missing out a little bit on her family and what the importance was. And, she shares that she wasn't able to be a part of those incredible moments with her kids, with her oldest, missing out on the first steps and the first words. And, now she works a third of the hours that she did at her traditional corporate job, all from home or wherever she wants on her own time as her own boss. And she helps others improve their physical and financial health. And she's working on so much more. We really just talk about what was it like to be in that space? What was it like, especially to come from a pharmaceutical background and pivot into a health and wellness company, kind of almost the polar opposites, and being in her mid 30s doing this, worried about what are other people going to think? She doesn't. How do you let that go? And so we definitely dive into that. We talked all things about, her new coaching businesses. She's journeying into and teaching other women outside of her own team in her health and wellness company and really building that business for herself. It was such a good conversation, and I'm excited to share this episode with you guys. She's having a blast showing others how to do the same that she is and squeeze the juice out of the good life. And that, really helping those professionals who are burnt out and aren't excited in their own jobs, reframe their mindset and take that pivot and jump into a life. So hang in tight. It's a great episode, and I can't wait for you guys to listen. Welcome to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm Katrina Lelly, certified life coach, aspiring author, lover of people, mama in recovery, and student of life. Each week, I will bring you love, inspiration, the real life stuff people are afraid to talk about, and guests who are willing to shine their light for you. I give you self-care practices and mindset tips to help you shatter the negative stories you tell yourself. Now is the time to step into the beautiful, loved, whole woman you already are. Let's walk this journey together. Welcome back to the Just As We Are podcast. I'm your host, Katrina Lelly, and I'm here with Melissa, and I am super excited to dive into this conversation with her. Melissa, thank you so much for being on today's episode.
Oh, sure. I'm so excited just to be connected.
Absolutely. I love the community that we're part of, and that I get to meet all of you amazing women, and we get to share stories with one another and go to a deeper level and just really get to know one another as, we're all working on building these successful lives and businesses and relationships. And, one of my things is just, I love sharing stories and talking, and I'm not a small talk person. And so I love getting in there and talking and finding out more, because there's such a beautiful connection that can happen. And so far, that's what I've found in the community that we're in. And I'm not sure if you're that way too, but it's just beautiful, the relationships that can blossom from that.
Oh, absolutely. It is just priceless being connected to women who see the glass half full and are just looking for opportunity and just breaking through barriers. And sometimes in your local community and you just look around, let's say in your neighborhood or your community, it can be hard to resonate or align with people just right there next to you. But when you seek out other humans just like you and kind of create that community that we're a part of, it makes you realize you're not crazy. And there is, there's a big life and big opportunity out there to continue just grabbing the bull by the horns and doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the most valuable things I have found in this community as I'm just the very beginning stages of, building this podcast, building my business and all of those things. And knowing that women who are successful, who have things going from the outside looking in, it could look like they have their lives all together. And the truth is they go through everyday things just like me that, you go through those thoughts, those doubts, those highs and those lows. And the different, the thing is we just keep moving forward and we don't allow that to take us out.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I love that. So share with us a little bit more about yourself, who you are, where you're from, a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I'm actually a PharmD, so I've got a doctorate in pharmacy. I'm a mom of 3 little kids. I've got a 2-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, on the East Coast. So that's a little bit about who I am, my background. I came up through school knowing I wanted to get into the pharmaceutical industry. So I got that doctorate in pharmacy and a master's in clinical research and went straight into the industry and climbed Mount Everest as fast and as quickly as humanly possible, to the point that I didn't really know where I was going, why I was going there, but I was just always taught to go. And I got to that top of Mount Everest and I had 2 kids in diapers and looked around and realized that I had climbed the wrong mountain and I was terrified at what to do next.
Oh my goodness. I bet there are a lot of women out there who can relate to that. You get so focused on, getting to a certain place and doing all the things, you kind of pass by and miss things. Do you feel like you kind of missed out then? Were you so laser focused that maybe you missed out a little bit on what was going on at home with the kids and those opportunities, or were you able to balance both of those at the same time?
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I think that just brings me right into my rock, like where I hit rock bottom, and we can kind of just jump right into it. But I was one of those type A who really defined myself by my success, defined myself by my title. I grew up in kind of a broken home with a sister who had mental disorders and a father who was alcoholic. And so the bottom line is, I watched my mom endure a lot of stress, and she always worked like 3 jobs to make ends meet without a college education. And so there was a couple of dynamics there that played into kind of my mental psyche, I think, where even though I was the youngest, I like my entire childhood, teenagehood, even early adulthood felt like I had to be the rock and like the stable pleaser for my mother. And not that she put that pressure on me, but it was just the perfectionism to like never create any more additional upsetness, right? To create happiness and to make people proud. And so in my early teenage years got into this mindset of really defining myself by straight A's and a phenomenal career and making a lot of money. And that was that's all I knew, is that I didn't want to end up juggling like my mom and rubbing, like just rubbing pennies together. And I wanted to be as successful as possible so they could be proud. And so I think what happened was I really didn't have a clear mindset about priorities around family and a balanced lifestyle with children until I was in the thick of it. And, I tell people all the time that I was a medical director in the pharmaceutical industry. So I had a multiple 6-figure job. I covered half the country. I was gone 3 to 4 days a week, and I had plenty of money, but I had no time. And I had a nanny that was raising our children. And that nanny, coincidentally, we found out was stealing thousands of dollars from us, like things from us, stuff, selling it. And I think that was kind of the moment in my life where everything started to swirl. And, I was slowly growing apart from my husband because he was either I was home or he was home. We were always passing each other in the night because he traveled too. We were like single parents. And here, this nanny who we trusted with our children was like stealing things out of my house and selling my clothes, my products, because I was part of a network marketing company, which actually, that's part of the story, has helped me break free completely from corporate America. But the bottom line is she was selling like my stuff out of my house. And I think that is when it all just hit me square in the face that like, what am I doing? I am trading so much time for money. I have all this financial success, but no real like success that had no time freedom or financial freedom per se. Like my back was up against a wall with this huge paycheck, and I'm sure some people can relate to this. Where I had climbed this mountain and we had created these bills, and we had this home, we had our kids in this school, and all of a sudden I was just like I just want to be with my kids, and I want a more balanced life, and I want to be healthier. I want to be more present. We were having behavioral issues with my oldest child. He was suffering from really high levels of anxiety. He was a special needs in the sense that his IQ was actually like through the roof. And we thought he had Asperger's, and it was actually just a very challenging, brilliant child. And I wasn't around enough. And I'm not shaming any moms that are not around much. This is just where I was. And, I was having a really hard time. Some people could probably relate to this, for so many sleepless nights where like I just felt like I was not being the parent that I wanted to be. And I really wasn't being the boss that I needed to be or the parent that I needed to be. It was just too much. It was just absolutely too much for me to handle. And I had been building a network marketing business alongside, coincidentally, I think I just saw your cup. So I think you and I are probably from the same company. But I resorted to their nutrition 100% for my energy because I was so depleted with what I was trying to juggle, and so stressed out. And I actually started to lean in and learn a little bit about the business model. And what's crazy is that less than 2 years into my journey with my network marketing company, I was still working full-time as a medical director in the pharmaceutical industry. I was making six figures in my network marketing company, but I wasn't willing to walk away from corporate America because there was something in the back of my head about security. And then there was also this like, what's the word I want to use? There was just this like doubt that, or fear that if I walked away from what I'd spent so much time and money on building and achieving, that title, right? Like people would be like, oh, you're a medical director. You've got this like sexy, shiny, cool job that everybody wants to know about. Like to this day, I get, messages from LinkedIn, people wanting to know about that career. I don't do it anymore. Right. But it was really a mind shift for me. And it took me like a year to get there, even though I was already creating an income somewhere else. It took me a year it took us realizing the nanny was stealing stuff from us and having assessments done on our oldest son with his behavior, that I had to just say, you know what? Like this side gig thing has actually really been able to can completely sustain us. And this full-time career of mine, like, why am I holding on to the title and what people think about me? Like, why am I standing here, a cow, miserable in the rain, like holding on to this career for title's sake and for what people think, versus walking away from it and pursuing a life of my dreams, not caring what the rest of the world thinks. And for me, it literally took me a year to like check my ego at the door. I had to come to grips that I was living a life to appease still in my, mid-30s, to appease the rest of the world. Like I was continuing down a path of misery for fear of what others would think of me for walking away from what others would think was, an incredible life, an incredible income, an incredible opportunity. But once I finally just threw all my concerns away and my ego at the door and did not care what the rest of the world thought, and I fired my boss from corporate America and, went full throttle pursuing my network marketing business, I actually ended up pregnant with my third child. And back to your question about my children, my third child, I quit my job before he was born. And it really still gets me teared up thinking about it. But I really had the chance to hit the reset button. His life his first 2 years have been so different than what my first two children dealt with. And it's not right or wrong. It's just that totally different experience, right? And I look back now, 2 years ago, when I was like absolutely terrified to walk away from that like secure thing that I had, like, it was like a blankie to me because it was my identity. And I was so terrified to walk away from it, to do this unknown thing. And I look back now and I'm like, I'm so grateful that I had the guts and the faith to do it, because it's completely changed our lives. Completely. So yeah, that's a little bit about my story.
I know. I love that. You're so many different questions can come up in that. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I am not well known, or I don't know a lot about the pharmaceutical world, but what was it like to come from a pharmaceutical world where, they treat people with pharmaceuticals, traveling into this network marketing company where it's all superfood and nutrition and nourishing the body? Like, how was that transition, especially with your background?
So I felt like I was living in two different worlds. And, so my friends would tell you from like the get-go, even as a child, I was very athletic. I played a lot of sports all the way through college. Through my first two children, I lived a paleo lifestyle, which really attracted me to the nutrition and wellness company because I was on the road and traveling so much. I really was focused on living an alkaline lifestyle. And I found it really, really hard to do on the airplanes when I'd get caught in an airport and all there was like hot dogs and cheeseburgers at the terminal with pizza. And so that's how I resorted to the nutrition to begin with. And back to your question, I actually so fell in love with the company and the culture and the impact they were making on chronic health. And I called myself the anti-pharmacist, and I really built a 6-figure income with the company with other pharmacists. Like, my team is full of clinicians. I've got doctors and pharmacists on my team who all were putting themselves last and their patients and their careers first. Like, I've got a radiation oncologist on my team who lost like 40 pounds. And her testimony is that I was putting my patients first. And she's a mom of 3, and now she's a 5-star on my team. But, so going back to feeling like I was living two different worlds. So underground at night, I like had this hustle with nutrition and wellness, and it excited me and it kept me up at night because I loved the impact I was making on people's lives. But then during the day, I was supporting clinical trials and research on drugs for a chronic illness that could be rectified by lifestyle. That these people we needed to fund more money on lifestyle than just funding, because we were doing research on trials. Like, my job was to go to the thought leaders, the doctors who were the biggest prescribers, and writing the big publications in the big New England Journal of Medicine and finding out, hey, where's the gaps in the data? What would make you prescribe this drug more, right? And then I'd go back to R&D, research and development, and say, this is what we need. And so they would go do the research on that data. I'm getting a little nerdy on you, but my point is, like, I was in the industry of just presenting the data that they needed to prescribe more drugs. And even though in my lifestyle, I was huge on nourishment, and like I'd gotten so many people's like blood sugars down low, I'd gotten their hypertension, like their numbers low, their lipids low through nutrition, that I became the anti-pharmacist. So I was living two different worlds. Like, I was living in two different spaces, and we laugh about this all the time, but I had like my corporate mask. And then at night, or in the pockets of my time, I could take my mask off and just like be myself. And when we were at one of our, when I say corporate, like with our network marketing company, when we were at one of their corporate events not too long ago, one of the women on my team, I actually hired in my corporate job, and she ended up following me to my network marketing company. And the funny thing is, so just imagine this. I want to take you back to that comment about the mask, right? Wearing my mask in corporate America. The girl I had hired, who's become a dear friend of mine, the girl I had hired in my corporate job was there along with one of my best friends since childhood at this network marketing convention. And over a glass of wine, the woman I had previously hired looked at my friend Sadie and said, "Don't you just love this new Melissa?" And my friend Sadie looked at her and said, "Melissa's always been this way." And we all started laughing. I was like, "Dawn, that was my corporate mask. I was your boss in corporate America. Like, I couldn't reveal to you my entire whole self. I just couldn't, you know? And so it's just freeing to be who you are authentically. And if people like it, great. If they don't, it doesn't matter.
Oh, I love that. And it's so like refreshing to hear somebody from your background talk about, the truth of, their job is to prescribe. And when there are solutions out there with the products that the company that we are part of definitely provides. And so it's just, it's amazing. And I love that there is so much more light coming out, and it's all coming up and out to people, and they're recognizing it more. There is a more nourishing, natural way that can solve a lot of issues. And so I absolutely love that. And I want to go back to your comment on, getting kind of a redo with your youngest child. I can absolutely relate to that. I feel the same way about my 16-month-old. I was in the midst of alcoholism when my oldest were born, and now I'm a sober mom with him, and getting that redo, not to make anything bad or negative about, the way that the older kids were brought up. Absolutely not. We all learn and we all grow through different things, but that experience, share a little bit more about that experience and what that's been like.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, like the first, and you can probably relate to this, but the first like 6 months to a year when I left my corporate job and I was home with him and I was continuing to build my network marketing business, I truly felt like I was like living a dream world. Like, it was the first, I got to see his first steps. I heard his first words. The little things that are the big things, like my oldest, the first time he had pneumonia, he was like not even a year old. I was in Maryland. I got a phone call and my mom went to the ER with him and I was a plane flight away, and that's the kind of stuff that just hurts my soul, So with the youngest, it's funny because I travel about once a quarter for like corporate events for our network marketing company. And that's about it. I'm running a couple of really thriving businesses. I'm like spinning off a couple of different coaching businesses on top of what I'm doing with my network marketing company. And even though I'm like busier than ever, that opportunity to make them my priority and make them first, has been everything. Like I think back to in my corporate days before my third was born, this could be kind of a comparison to you. I had traveled all week for my corporate job and got caught in a snowstorm. And I was stuck in DC over the weekend. They couldn't get me home till Sunday and had to turn around and catch another flight Monday morning. No option because it was my regional meeting that I was hosting. Like I was leading the meeting. And like my underwear wasn't even clean, and I'll never forget being on the morning leadership conference call and trying to pack. I've got the video up, the webinar, and I'm trying to pack and trying to get ready to go out the door. And my work computer was upstairs in my office and I was downstairs packing. I had like my headphones in or something. I was trying to multitask. I mean, keep in mind, I've been gone all week and I've got to turn around and be out. The babies, both my kids are in diapers at the time. One of them starts crying and it doesn't even dawn on me. And I can hear it on the conference call. Now the computer's upstairs. I'm like downstairs, right? Man, whose baby is that that's crying on the conference line? And then all of a sudden I was like, can I say cuss words here? I was like, shit, that is my child. And because everyone else, remember, I climbed the corporate ladder super fast. I was like, everyone on my team, the leadership team was twice my age. All of a sudden it dawned on me, it was my baby. And now everybody knows it's my baby because I'm the only one that has babies. And I'm like sprinting up the stairs, trying to quiet the baby, trying to like find the mute button on my computer. And I finally got it muted and I could my boss was irritated. He was barking back for, me to mute my phone. And I'll never forget like getting my stuff together. I've still got my earbuds in because the call is still going. My two babies are in the house watching me take my suitcase and roll it away. I haven't even been gone for like 24 hours. And they're crying and I'm crying. Like I'm crying now just thinking about it. As I go get in my car and drive away to the airport again. And it was just like, and so to fast forward now, like it's my business. I run it. My way. My babies come in and they're welcome to talk. When I'm coaching, like I was doing earlier today, if my 2-year-old wants to come sit in my lap and say hi, he can come say hi. And so it's like my level of tension has dropped so significantly that I have become a more patient parent because I'm running something that I'm in control of and I'm doing it my way. And when you're in control, at least for me, like being in control of my destiny and being in control of my day, allows me to be a more relaxed parent. And that transfers, especially to my oldest child who was clinically diagnosed with anxiety at the age of 5. It made all the world of difference in the energy, in our house. And, it's just very recent that my husband actually acknowledged for the first time, and we have a great relationship. It's just not something he's ever said, but he was just like, I really acknowledge that you had I have huge earning power now, but he's like, you had huge earning power with what you were doing, but you recognized the importance of our family. And you were willing to give that up to make us a more whole family. And that meant a lot to me. And of course, on the back end, I don't feel like I'm at a point now where I don't feel like I'm giving up anything. Like I feel like I've got like the best of both worlds. I get to meet my kids at the bus stop after this, and my husband has to work till 5:30 and then commute back home, So yeah, it's made a huge difference in my presence and my energy, with my kids being in control.
Oh, I love that. And so many mamas out there are desiring that, ability, or maybe they're a stay-at-home mom already and they just don't know, where they're barely surviving, their family's barely surviving on one income. And like, there's so many opportunities out there. And I wanted to link that to something you shared back about the fear of what others would think. What are others going to think about me? And you mentioned you're in your mid-30s. Like, I know from my own experience, there's been a point in time, I'm in my mid-30s, and it's like, I have been through that experience of, well, what are other people going to think? I'm 30 years old. I should be, et cetera, at a certain point, or I shouldn't care because I'm 30, having that mindset and letting that go is so freeing. Like, how did you work through that? How did you get through that I just don't care anymore? Because it doesn't happen overnight.
You're right. So I think two fundamental things happened for me. And the first, to this day, and I share this on like every podcast I've been on, is I don't know why this particular book in this one particular section hit me square in the face. And have you heard of the book, The 4-Hour Workweek?
I've heard of it, yes.
It's phenomenal, especially if you're trying to juggle a lot and you're trying to maximize your time. This is when I was working full time. And I was growing my network marketing business, and I was trying to find a way to find more time. And so that's what the book was about, was just like maximizing your time. But there was a segment in the book, and it talked about how he talked about this lawyer who was a client of his, who had a really high salary, but absolutely hated her career. And his description was, she was a cow standing in misery in the rain. Like, if you could just visualize when it's pouring down rain, you look out in the cow pastures and there's just cows standing there being rained on, right? And his point was, is she going to live out the next couple of decades of her life to appease others? Because her thing was have such a huge career with so much income and so much success, even though I hate it, like, what are others going to think if I walk away from this and pursue my dreams, right? It was ego. And for some reason on that day, that section of that book hit me square in the face. And that was the day that I was like, he is so dead on. Like, I am living a life to appease others. And, I think about some of the training that you and I have gotten in our society about that little girl that, you go back to the little girl that you were, and you're still living in her fears and her ideals and who she was. And that really just hit me square in the face. Like, here I am, like 35, 36 years old, still trying to please everyone around me. And I don't want to be a cow standing in the rain anymore. Like, the worst thing that could happen is that this doesn't work and I have to go back to work. But the best thing that could happen is that I break free and I completely change the dynamic of our family. And by the way, like quadruple my original income in the first place, right? And so that was like the number one pivotal moment. And the second most pivotal moment for me was really coming out about this with my professional network and owning it. And what I mean by that is, and I just had a little training on this with my LinkedIn bootcamp folks 2 hours ago. But the day I went open in public on LinkedIn without a single excuse, 100% bulletproof, confident, and claiming where I was headed, what I was doing, why I was excited to do it. Like my inbox exploded. And what I began to realize with this particular community that I was in, which is, professional community within LinkedIn, was that there were so many other burnt out, miserable professionals just like me, and they needed me to go first. And they were watching me and they wanted me to succeed. And when I succeeded and I owned it instead of making excuses or hiding from it, because so many corporate professionals like dabble in network marketing and like dream about it, but then don't own it for fear of what others may think about them. And I just freaking owned it. And when I did, like my business, like I began to bring in so many polished professionals because I owned it. And so to this day, 2 years later, after walking away, I feel like it's my God-given, like part of like what I have to do in this world to inspire others who are unfortunately still living to appease others in a career that no longer fulfills them. And so I'm here to say, hey, it's okay. It is okay at 40 to make a career pivot. Why stay there for 20 more years if it doesn't serve you? If your soul hurts at night because you're not getting the time that you want with your kids and your husband, you can turn around. Like, guys, I spent $200,000 on a college degree, a doctorate and a master's. My husband, I was still $120,000 in debt when I wanted to quit. And my husband was like, you're crazy. You haven't even paid off your education yet. He was like, if you can get that debt paid off with that job, then we can talk about it. And that's actually how I exceeded six figures in my network marketing company. Within the next 12 months, I snow-capped six figures and saved every penny of it, paid off my college loan debt, and then quit the job I went to school for and have never been happier. So it's okay. You can quit. You just got to have a better plan, Don't continue to live for what you think others expect of you.
I think that is such an important part that needs to be like driven home to so many people, because like 20 years is not a long time, and it really is a long time to stay in something that you're not happy about. And I know that people are afraid to pivot, or they feel they need the permission to say no to something they've been doing for so long, or to drop it, or to let it go. And it's like, you can do that. You have a choice. You have choice. I think we forget that too. And especially in that professional, when we're in that professional mode, we have a choice. We have a choice. Is it going to be scary? Probably. Is it totally something new? Absolutely. But we have that choice. And I think people forget that they have that choice.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I follow a lot of the chatter on LinkedIn, and I think that a lot of people there, the average income on LinkedIn is 100,000 plus. And, the comments I get from a lot of my network is I am miserable where I am, but I've also built an income that I can't walk away from. And that's where people get strapped. That's where people's back gets, they get up against the wall and think they don't have any options. And I can see where moms who are at home and have been home for a while feel the same way. Like one of my best friends was home with her kids for a number of years, and she was like, I'm unemployable. And I'm like, girl, you are not unemployable. That is a story you are telling yourself. There are 1,000,002 ways for people to make money right now, like without leaving your house. so yeah, for sure. It's never too late to recreate. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I went to school, got my doctorate, I never really practiced pharmacy. I did like retail as a like fill-in, like moonlighting. But then I was in I was in the industry for 10 or 12 years, built this network marketing company, which has been phenomenal. It's created an income producing asset for myself that now has allowed me free time to play in the entrepreneurial space, right? So now I'm like spinning off other coaching programs. And who knows where that's going to take me, I think that actually, pivoting and doing something totally different really just opens your eye. You can pivot as many times as you want if you can just do it one time. Like, it's that fear of like making a career pivot the first time, the fear of the unknown. But once you realize it's really not that scary, and it's actually pretty fun, then you're willing to do it again.
Yeah, I see so many, I have moms that I have friends that are stay-at-home moms, and I look at them and I'm like, oh my goodness, if you only knew, if I could put you in my head for a few moments to experience the amazingness that I know that can be possible, you would totally say yes to this opportunity, or you would totally, get on board or open yourself up to that opportunity. And it's okay to pivot, and it doesn't have to look this way. And I know they have great big dreams and things they want to accomplish. And really, network marketing is such a beautiful vehicle to take you to those other things and places that you want. And
Yep.
you meet so many amazing people. It opens up community. Like, without network marketing, I would not have ever met Kayla Craft or the Mommy Millionaire community. I wouldn't have met so many amazing women that I have met. And I just love that you have shared that. So what are you working on for 2020?
Oh my gosh, Kayla's really challenged me. We've got big goals. she's my personal business coach right now. She's incredible, by the way. I mean, we can both give her a huge plug. She's been huge.
Oh yeah.
So outside of growing my network marketing business, she's really challenged me to leverage my skill set in streamlining the LinkedIn business platform. So two different things. So outside of growing my network marketing company, I'm doing LinkedIn boot camps. I'm doing one right now and teaching entrepreneurs of all different types of businesses, including network marketing, how to actually leverage that platform to grow a business. It's the most underutilized platform that I have had ridiculous success with in the past 2 years because people aren't using it to drive a business like you can. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. We're doing like LinkedIn 1.0 right now with really great feedback. I'm thinking I'll probably do that boot camp once a month. And Kayla's that was her first, like, you've got to go try this. You've got to see how this works out. I've got 50 amazing women in that group right now. And then the other thing I'm launching in February is my 6-figure side hustle 6-week bootcamp. So, and it's really geared towards network marketers. So this is specific to network marketers. But what I found is the only way I was able to hit 6 figures with my network marketing company while working full time was through time management. And I feel like the one thing that most network marketers lack when they get started is like the organizational skills to really grow a business. If you think about it, most people who come into network marketing have no experience as an entrepreneur. And the only experience I had was a career where I was told what I needed to do. Like, I knew what key indicating performer, like I knew what I needed to do each week to get my job done. And then when I got into network marketing, it was like this mess. And like if I had 15 minutes between work calls or an airport or when my kids were in bed, like I was always at a loss as to what to do. So I created kind of a step-by-step process on how to grow your business. And Kayla was like, why are you just teaching your team this? Like, you need to be monetizing this and coaching other people outside your team. Like, clearly your team's been really successful following your process, and it's applicable to any network marketing company. So that's what I'm launching in February is the 6-figure side hustle 6-week bootcamp. So the goal is to really onboard eager entrepreneurs, specifically in network marketing, who are looking to up-level their network marketing business through some organizational tactics that I have that are just tried and true, step by step. People who are looking to just up the ante in 2020 with organization and growing and scaling their network marketing business. And that bootcamp will actually include the LinkedIn training. So that's where I am right now. That's kind of what I have on my plate.
I love that. I think that is so important, that kind of training, because there's a miss, especially for, like you said, most people who come into network marketing are new to it. They don't have that experience. They come, they can come from a job, or even stay at home moms, I think, or could benefit from that, because I know for me in the beginning, I would think more often about like what to do or how I would do it, and thinking it would take so much time. And I came from the mode of people told me what to do and then I went and did it. So changing that behavior and that mindset is a big deal, because it's not an easy transition in my experience to go from an employee to your own boss.
Right.
So I love that you're providing that. And with LinkedIn, I love that you're bringing that up. My husband's on LinkedIn all the time. He, he's a maintenance technician for an aerospace company, but he loves LinkedIn. Oh, cool. He doesn't spend time on Facebook or Instagram. I've dabbled in LinkedIn, but I see, and he tells me all the time, you should get on LinkedIn. You should be on LinkedIn. Like, it's a platform is it for pretty much any business owner type thing, or is it geared towards a certain style of business?
Yeah. Well, let me give you a couple of nuggets about LinkedIn. So here's the difference. People go to Instagram and they go to Facebook to be entertained. Like, you scroll there to be entertained, right? But think about a podcast, for instance. There's a specific niche niche, however you want to say it, of people who are going to take time to listen into a podcast because they're tuned in to personal development, right? It's the same thing with LinkedIn. The goal of people who use LinkedIn, the number one reason they go in there is to be motivated, and for personal development. So if you are, for instance, trying to grow a network marketing business, there is no better platform, because people who are active in LinkedIn are looking for opportunity. This is the other thing. Think about the last time you had to go look for a job, or think about the last time you weren't happy in your career. Where did you go? Most people dust off their resume on LinkedIn and start getting active in there. And so my point is that people who are active in there are open and looking for opportunity. Secondly, if you're trying to grow a network marketing business and you're leading with the financial opportunity because you want business builders in your business, you're not going to put people off or seem spammy if you're reaching out through LinkedIn, because it's a business to business platform. If you're saying to someone, hey, I really like your profile. I see that you have this, that, and that quality. You would be really phenomenal at what I do, right? People aren't put off by that in LinkedIn. I get messages from recruiters all the time in LinkedIn. I'm not annoyed by them, right? But if you get a message like that on Instagram or Facebook, how annoyed are you that it's like another spammy network marketer? So I think that so many network marketers are spinning their wheels over on those platforms. Here's a couple other things. So the average user of Instagram, the average age is about 21, okay? The average age of the social media user on LinkedIn is about 35, right? So you have a difference in purchasing power. You have a different age group demographic, right? And their purchasing power, the average income of a LinkedIn user is about $100,000 a year. Now, why that's important, especially if you're providing like high-end coaching services, or you have kind of a higher buy-in product, you're really honing in on a specific market that has purchasing power and they're motivated. And if they're really active in there, they're looking for opportunity. So those are a couple reasons I love LinkedIn. My boot camp, we actually go through, I have a checklist. I was actually going to offer to you, your listeners, they're welcome to, I'm going to be posting a freebie. I'm going to the checklist I'm giving the group this week, like an income producing activity checklist for LinkedIn. They're going to be applying that tomorrow. And if they apply it 30 minutes a day, they're going to see their business grow and scale through LinkedIn. But I'll be sure to get that for you for the notes. Your listeners will be able to just grab that for free when I get it posted. It's still in the process.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I love that. It's been, oh my goodness, such good information. I'm like thinking already, my wheels are spinning. I'm taking notes over here like, okay, it's time to get on LinkedIn. I have the app downloaded. I've been on there before. It's time to dive into this because I didn't know all of that. And it makes so much sense that, LinkedIn, you're going to go find those business people who are looking for opportunity. And it's true. What do you go to Instagram and Facebook for? You go there for entertainment. And so such valuable information. What is it that you personally are working on right now to grow yourself at this point in time?
Oh my gosh. Girl, what am I not doing to grow myself right now? I'm learning so much. So right now I'm learning a lot of technology stuff. So because I've launched this training, I've had to learn how to upload videos. I've had to learn how to write codes and put them into my web pages and URLs to communicate. And like this freebie, I'm like, hesitantly offering you guys because I haven't figured out how to put it on my page yet, but it's like something I have to do, right? So I am growing, learning to grow with right now is that there's so many ways that you can monetize your intellectual capital. I'm learning that if what you have is a value to others, you can make a business out of it. The challenge is, are you up for the challenge to learn how to market it? And are you up for the challenge of how to implement it? Right. Because I've known for 2 years, honestly, I've known for 2 years I've been onto something super hot with LinkedIn, and I've just kept it. I've been coaching my team to it. I've streamlined educational tools with them. I've helped them grow their business. And the whole time I've been like, this could be huge, but I don't know where to start. This could be massive. I don't know how to do it. Like that was a story I was telling myself until Kayla was like, yes, you can. Like, yes, you can. Like, okay, I can. And in 3 days I built a web page, right? And then a week later I figured out how to make videos and upload them onto a share space where I can transfer it into Kajabi. And now I was just on the phone with a Kajabi tech, which Kajabi is my platform where I'm uploading all my training videos. I'm learning how I can put a freebie in there so that people can go get the freebie so I am like, this year for me, I'm growing in from a tech and marketing standpoint, but I'm also growing. My call after this is with my personal assistant and learning how to delegate. Like I've almost bit off more than I can chew, like administratively. And I've got to delegate and give away some of the stuff I'm doing to someone else in order to break to the 7-figure a year goal that I aspire for. And that's hard because it's hard to give up some of the stuff that you have control of, but it consumes a lot of my time that then I can't be creative on the piece that I want to be creative on. So yeah, that was like a loaded question. I'm kind of working on a couple things.
I know. I get it. I love that too, especially the delegating, because I think that is so. I look forward to the day where I'm at that point and I'm delegating. But even as a mom, like delegating anything and giving up that control can just bring so much peace and freedom and allow more room for that creativity in your life and being with and being present. I love that. So, do you have anything else that is just burning on your heart that you want to share with us?
Well, I think that, my biggest message to people really when you start thinking about like where you've been in your past and hitting rock bottom, like making that experience part of your story so that you can relate to others and grow from it and just grow beyond your wildest dreams. Because it was at my rock bottom in my career that I couldn't get any further down, that I was willing to look left and right, because I just couldn't continue the path I was on. And sometimes I think it takes hitting that rock bottom to make dramatic changes in your life. And don't and so for your listeners who are maybe in that place, like this is going to sound crazy, but be excited because that's going to be part of your story and it's going to be part of your massive success impact on others. When you come out of that and becomes part of your story. Because I am loving connecting with other corporate professionals who are so burnt out right now. And I'm able to connect with them because I've been there. And so you're going to be able to change other people's lives because of your story.
So well said. There's nothing better than, having that experience behind you to connect with that person. But Melissa, where can we find you?
So my webpage is livethefreelife.co. So livethefreelife.co. And then my name is Melissa Henault, Henault. So Melissa, and then Henault. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, on any of those platforms. And I'll be posting my freebie, the LinkedIn income producing activity checklist this week, as soon as I can figure it out. So, and I'll make sure that's embedded on my webpage. So if you go to livethefreelife.co and I figure out how to do it this week, because I'm learning and growing in 2020, you'll be able to go grab that.
Thank you for offering that. And thank you so much for being here and sharing, getting vulnerable and sharing your story with us and your beautiful wisdom. I'm super excited for what's coming for you in 2020 and all that you're creating. You're going to impact so many lives, and you already are. So I appreciate you being here. And you guys, if you loved this episode, please go share it with your friends. Take a snapshot, tag us both on social media. Go head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. I would so appreciate it. That's what helps my message get out more to the world and to make more of an impact. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time. Hi, friends. If you enjoyed this episode of the Just As We Are podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would head on over to iTunes and leave me a 5-star review. Take a screenshot of today's episode and tag me at Katrina Lelly on your social media. If you haven't already, head on over to the Just As We Are podcast community on Facebook and hit join, where you will get to join more of the Just As We Are tribe. And remember that no matter where you are on your journey, you are completely whole and loved just as you are.